Rafael de Dangerfield. All right there. I'm not a religious man. I used to be a rabid atheist, but that's embarrassing. But I am increasingly spiritual as I get older, as I rapidly approach the time when I'll shed this mortal coil. But there's a prayer that changed my life. And it's the Serenity Prayer, which was written by some geezer. You can go online and find out its history, but it was taken up by Alcoholics Anonymous and then found its way into Narcotics Anonymous. And the message of the prayer changed my life and continues to change my life because its message is so good. Its message is so clear and so relevant to the everyday struggles of existence that I consider it a gift to me and a gift when I pass it on. The prayer goes something like, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Simple. Words are excellent. So, serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Some things you can't change. And the frustration we can build up in ourselves when we fail to accept that can create a whole world of unnecessary pain. People, I often talk about acceptance. You've got to accept it. You've got to accept it. And I get a lot of emails from people. How? How do you actually accept something? What's the process? I don't know. But I do know that if you are serene, if you have achieved some level of serenity, a level of peace with yourself, a moment of calmness, you can start the process of understanding that you're powerless to do anything about something. Imagine someone died. I mean, it's going to happen to us all. We're all going to know people that die. People that we loved, people who loved us, parents, children, lovers. And you can't do anything about that. They are dead. And it's heartbreaking. Probably the deepest, most profound pain we'll ever know is the death of someone we cared about and who cared about us. But if you don't accept that, if you don't accept the fact that they're dead, you'll go crazy. Because you'll get yourself into a sense of reality that's untrue, that's fantasy. You know, I've split up with people and fantasized about getting back together with them. Laid there in bed at night, imagining what it would be like if we were back together. Oh, and everything would be perfect. And the problem with living in fantasy is it starts functioning in your life in the way reality should. You start relying on fantasy. It starts becoming reality. And when fantasy and reality start getting confused, we call it madness. So to start the process of accepting things, start the process of acceptance, you need to relax. You need to chill the fuck out. And there's many ways to do that. Get yourself away from the noise of culture. Get yourself away from your lofty ambitions and your career and your political aspirations. Spend some time with yourself. Spend some time with yourself and breathe. And understand that some things are just outside of our abilities. That the world, that existence, reality doesn't play by our rules. We play by its rules. And it's bigger than us. The next bit is the courage to change the things you can. Because some things you can change. Some things you're able to affect change on. But it takes balls. It takes courage. You know, you've seen the problem. And if you're anything like me, you've seen the problem again and again and again and again. It could have been going on for weeks, months, years. And half the time, we know the solution too. Or we certainly know how we're going to start to make changes. But we don't. We leave it. We leave it to fester like an open wound that then gets infected. And then gets bigger and keeps on growing, and we keep putting it off. We keep pretending it's not there. We keep distracting ourselves. We keep engaging with other things. Things that don't take much courage. Things that just are handed to us on a plate. But to actually make changes, sometimes small, sometimes profound, sometimes radical, takes real courage. But it takes the courage that is inside of us all. You know, we've been separated from these things. We've been made weak by a culture desperate to sell us stuff. But we are fighters. We are a war people. And if you make the effort, if you show some fucking balls, you can find the courage inside you necessary to make changes. And if change is required, get on it. Because all that frustration you have around trying to change things that you can't is exactly the same for things that you can change that you're choosing not to. And it is a choice. You know, you're in the driving seat here, and it's you that's deciding not to make those changes. So remember who you are. Remember that this is your life. And that you have got the courage inside you. And having courage doesn't mean you're not frightened. I'd actually say having courage means you're going to be more frightened. Because having courage means you're going to face your fears. The serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The courage to change the things I can. And the wisdom to know the difference. It's remarkable, isn't it? What can I change? What can't I change? Where are my efforts best spent? And on those few simple words, lives are transformed. And on those few words, lives are made better. Good, isn't it?
Non più tra i farfalloni amoroso, notte e giorno di torno girando, delle belle turbando al riposo, ma ci s'è tuato un giro d'amor.